Welcome back. If you haven't seen my videos before, I'm Ross the Oliver Man, and today we're going to work on the old steel wheel Oliver 60 again. When last we left it, it had decided that it did not like me riding, so it ejected me. But that's not the project we're going to work on today. It is this right here. Way back when we first got it running, I had bought new plug wires and a cap for it, and like usual, I threw it in the front seat of my pickup, and there it's been riding all this time, and I'm sick of moving around in there with it, so it's time to put it on. So I figured I'd show you how to make spark plug wires. So if you're wondering what part numbers are, this is the part number for a 4-cylinder cap for a Oliver tractor with this Delco style distributor. And I like these caps better than the cheapos because they're just made a little bit better. You have a little bit better quality in them. I've had trouble with some of the cheapo farm store caps where they don't fit quite right, so I just buy the good ones from Napa. And then for spark plug wires, we have 700 172. These are metal core wires, which I like the best on old tractors. However, the downside is you won't play a radio with them on there because you won't hear anything but static. That's why they switched to those suppression type cables with the fiber core, because they cut down on the noise and interference. But I've found on old tractors that the metal core works the best because I've actually had some of the fiber core ones burn on the inside, and you couldn't tell they were bad until you did some investigating. So I'm going to put metal core back on this, and when they come in this kit, the old part number was like a 403W for years at places, and that W was solid core. And then the 6-cylinder would have been 603W. I think the 6-cylinder set in this new number is 700 173, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I guess I can put that in a caption at the bottom here. But anyway, we'll get started, and then we'll make sure when we're done that it runs, and I'll be rid of these out of the front seat of my vehicle. A lot of people kind of panic when they have to do this because they're so terrified of getting it in the wrong order. But you have to just, as long as you know the firing order, which in this case is 1, 2, 4, 3, then as long as you know where number 1 is, you're going to be fine. So we're going to take this off, and then we'll put the new cap on, and then we'll just start and go till we have it all done. I was going to get a rotor, but I think they were out at the time, so we can always do that later. But we're going to use up the new stuff we have so that that's done. You wouldn't have to put a new cap and wires on if everything was working, but I usually do because I drag tractors out of the worst conditions, and then I know I don't have to really worry about that anymore. You can see these, although working, have pretty well used up their usefulness, and they're so brittle and stiff that it would just be a good idea to replace them. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so if you look at what you get in the box, you get 4 wires that have boots on one end, and the other end is what we have to make. Then you get your little baggie with the rubber boots, and then it's got the metal connectors that you need to crimp on the end. And sometimes, I don't know if this pack has it, they give you a little bit of dielectric grease, which is kind of nice. I use it mainly just to help the boots slide over the wires, so if it's not in there, I'll just get some regular grease to do that. But we'll get started, and how we'll do that is I just pick the shortest wire or whichever length I need, I guess. The number 1 on this one is kind of the farthest from the distributor, so I guess we'll use the longest wire out of these. Although on here it probably doesn't really matter, because even the shortest one is probably long enough, so just grab one and go. But you may have to pay attention to that if your wire length is going to be close. You know, certain engines, how they route. Some cars and stuff, you have to go down underneath and around, but in this you can see we got plenty, even using one of the shorter ones. So if you look what they gave you, you have actually 5 straight boots of the same size, and then one that's a little bigger. And the one that's bigger is for the end of the coil, because this is bigger than on your distributor. And they also give you extra boots that are 90 degrees, and I never use those because on tractors the straight boots are the way to go. And maybe if you were going to put the 90-degree boots on the other end, but we don't have on this style wire, the end to the spark plug is already made, so you would have to buy a set that had 90-degree boots on it. But anyway, we'll get started now. And what we're going to do is we're going to just take our wire and get a basic length of what we want. We want enough, but not too much. So if you look, that's pretty good. By the time we crimp the end on and push it in, probably somewhere in here. I don't like them to be really like pulling on it like this, so I give them a little bit of slack, but not too much that you start rubbing on the hood, because then you'll defeat your purpose here. So probably about right there. I'll give her a cut, and then we'll get the boot on and then crimp the end on and get them all on here. Okay, so the next step, I put a little bit of grease on this end because it makes those boots slide so much easier. And then you get your boot and just gotta take your time and feed it in there. See how easy the grease makes it slide. And now what we have to do is strip away some of this so we can make contact with our metal end. And so what I like to do is I like to take the wire stripper part and just go gently around, because you can cut the core really easy. And I just kind of go a little bit till I break through that outer layer. You can see that the inside is white and the outer layer is bluish colored. So I get it about that far, and then I just twist this, and that's usually enough to break it loose. And then you can pull the outside off. So then we fold this over like such, and you got your clip on here. You put this over here like this, or at least this is the way I do it. Now, I'll probably take this off to work with. So we have this in here, and now we need to crimp these 2 tabs over to hold it in place. And actually, if you buy a cheapo wire pliers, they have a slot, a lot of them, for this very job, to crimp those over. So we put that on there and just work it. I get them kind of gentle first, and then, because what you want to do is, you can use anything to crimp these, but if you crimp them out around, they won't go down in the cap very easily. So I kind of work it from different angles and get them where they need to be. And then you've got your end crimped on, so we can put this on now, and then when you're done, you slide the boot down over here. So we'll do that with this number 1. You can feel these kind of pop in when you push them down in there. and then you know it's locked in there good, so it's making good contact. And this is where our grease helps you out, because this rubber really grabs good on this wire material, so it doesn't let moisture in. So the little bit of grease helps you slide everything down where it needs to be. So now we just follow suit with the next ones, and the next one in our firing order was number 2. So we'll go to number 2. We'll put our wire on, and we'll figure out our length, probably about right there. We'll go ahead and cut it off. We'll get our little bit of grease on the wire here so that we can slide our boot on. And kind of got to work it to get it started. There we go. There we go. Okay. Now we're ready to gently pierce the outer insulation. If you squeeze the pliers too hard, you can even get into the little metal pieces. And then I just give it a twist, and then that pulls off, and now we're ready to fold over, put this on, and start our crimping. And we'll put it in the number 2 spot. This one, you can see it's having a trouble going down in there because I didn't get it quite round. So you may need to re-crimp a little bit. Then it goes right in there. And that one's done. So we'll repeat this process 2 more times, and then we'll work on the coil wire. Okay, so we got our main 4 on. Another thing I guess I should mention about these wires, why I like them, is they're supposed to be lifetime guaranteed wires. I don't know, I've never taken any back, but anyway, they're good quality wires. So I've just stuck with them because, like I said, I haven't had any trouble with them. And I have had trouble with some from the cheapo farm store brand, so this is what I go with. So now for the coil wire, what they give you is just a thing that has bare wire on both ends, because you need to make whatever your length is. And I usually just pick one of the pieces that I've cut if there's one that's shorter than that, so I don't waste a long end of wire, which is silly because I never end up using it. I've got a whole bunch of these wire ends. I could probably make 100 set of spark plug wires just from the pieces I've cut off. But anyway, it follows the same process, although this time we've got one factory made in, so we don't have to do that. But we'll put that on so that we can connect here to here and we'll be in business. All right, we'll go this way, maybe. I don't know how we want to go. We want to go in some way where this isn't going to be hanging out in the side curtain. Probably. Let's go through here and under here. There we go. That looks pretty good. You probably can't see that, but take my word for it. It works. Having extra stuff hanging around doesn't always help. It catches on something and wears a hole in it and then shorts out or whatever, so. Like I said before, this boot is bigger around, so you want to make sure you save it for the coil. Otherwise, you're going to have to restart over on one of the others if you end up using it up too soon, so. All right, so we got our new plug wires on and our new cap. Way back when we got it running, we had put our new coil on. So let's hook up the battery cable now and see if this just fires right up. It's been sitting for however long it's been since that last video where we cleaned the sediment bowl. So it may have some other problem now, but we'll give it a try and see how it runs, at least hopefully as good as it did before we started. There we go. Purrs like a kitten. I think we did do it some good because I don't think it idled that smooth before. So, I'm happy. We still have several things to do to this. We need to put a generator in it or an alternator or something. We need to replace that belt because it's been chucking rubber ever since we first started it. And then over on the other side, you can hear the manifold needs some attention. And I think it's just the gaskets because the manifold itself looks pretty good. So we need to take that off one day and see about putting some new gaskets in, and hopefully that'll fix our problem. We got good oil pressure. That's good. How low will it idle? About right there. Sounds good. Well, as always, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, click that subscribe button and then you'll be sure to see anything that I come up with. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.